want you to look to your person and to your left, shake their hand, and tell them, "You're pretty amazing today."
You're pretty amazing today.
You're pretty amazing today.
You're amazing today, Kermit.
You're amazing.
You are amazing today.
You're always
Who
amazing.
here is sick of a below par life? You know, sick of living paycheck to paycheck, you know, kind of miserable. You wake up each day, it's like, time to go again. Man, I actually had one of those days today. I woke up today, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Are we doing this again? That's when you know something's got to change, right? I always like to say that our big #1 issue is cell phones. Kind of ironic because I'm videotaping this off a cell phone and I said on mine, I swear to God, all day. But this is our biggest problem, I promise. Because when I'm sitting at home, or a normal person is sitting at home, what are we in touch with? Our cell phones. You know, I had a girlfriend at one time, and I always said, you know, cell phones, I don't want you to be sitting on your cell phone because I want the personal attention. But that doesn't happen anymore. Even in today's modern society, we don't go over to people's houses like we used to back when, I'd say, the generation before me was growing up. You know, we'd go over and chill out with Bobby, Sue, and whatever their names were, and we'd have a good time. But now we just text them and be like, hey, what you guys up to tonight? And you have a whole conversation over your cell phone that you could have had in person, and honestly, it ruins friendships a lot faster, in my opinion. You know, I can get to know somebody in about 5 minutes, you know, basic information, over a cell phone, and I'm done talking to that person. And honestly, I've heard a lot of people say this, that it truly does ruin relationships. And I'm finding this to be the biggest issue in my life too, you know, because I try talking to people and it just doesn't work out. I'm not the best conversational person over the phone, you know. It's like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Sleeping. You know, I'm a 3-word at best type of text or back type of person because I like that face-to-face interaction. I'll say, hey, do you want to hang out tonight type of thing. You know, I can have conversations and I can learn how to keep it going, but it's kind of ruining, you know, my own communication skills because I'm not getting that face-to-face interaction that I used to. I mean, security was my biggest thing too, is because I'd always sit on my phone. And I know when I was doing subway work, you know, we'd have teenagers sitting there like this, sitting on their phones all the time. Like, I'd be like, what are you doing? Prep. No, you're not. Get back to work. And they don't want to do it because they're sitting on their phone talking to the people that they call their friends, I mean, obviously. And it's just killing it on many levels, if you understand what I mean. You know, they're sitting there, not getting their job done. They're not doing what they need to do. And at the same time, they're having a conversation that could easily wait, you know, 6 hours, 2 days. My second biggest thing is complaining. I see a lot of people who, you know, like I said, wake up every day and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I understand. I truly do. Some days are rougher than others. You know, you wake up, your joints hurt. I've had those days too. I know I'm young. I know y'all are looking at me like, oh God, he doesn't even know yet. But why sit there and complain is my biggest thing, is what good are you truly doing? Because the people don't want to be around you who you're complaining to, because they're like, you see this guy over here? Yeah, my God. Because I talk to people and they sit there and complain all the time. I don't want to deal with it, and I'm sure you guys don't want to deal with somebody who's sitting there and complaining. I mean, I used to do it all the dang time. I am the first one to be guilty of it. But I know that that's my biggest thing, is complaining, is because I've had people in my life that I just said goodbye. And granted, it probably might not have been the right choice, but I've thrown people out of my life just because they're such negative influences, and all they do is sit there and complain and complain and complain. My biggest thing is always do your best. And you can't do it when you're complaining. You can't do it while you're sitting on your cell phone. You just can't do it. So when you're doing your best, you get other people to recognize, hey, look at that guy, look at that guy. You know, he's really giving it his all every single time he comes out there, and he just, you know, he does his work. My old boss, Jeff Sprick, he always brought out the best in me. Granted, probably because I was working with my boss, and who wants to slack in front of your boss? But he always brought out my best, and he always taught me, you gotta always do your best. And yeah, you're gonna develop haters along the way, and y'all are gonna kill me for saying haters and y'all twice there. But you are. You're gonna develop people who are gonna sit there and be like, look at that guy, just kissing ass, sucking up. But that's what you gotta do, is when you're trying your best, you're saying, this is, I'm giving it my 100% all, and people are gonna notice that. Job references. I can't even count how many bosses I have with job references. It's quite a few now. And I love it because, I talk to my bosses, and I'm actually pretty good friends with a couple of them. I still stay in good contact, like my Subway boss, or he's actually one of my greatest mentors now. He sets up a workout program for me, and granted I haven't gotten to quite do it yet because I don't always try my best sometimes to get around to those things, but that's one of the things that I like to talk about. I always talk about maturity, and I've got a good quote from one of my papers I used to read back. It says, maturity is about who can go through hell to get out understanding what they went through and properly interpret it. And I wrote this a while back when I was going to school. And I read back a couple weeks ago in this paper, and I was like, wow. I had it kind of figured out then, granted not as much as I do now, but I was like, I can't even believe, how mature I was at the time just to even write that. And then I realized I was giving it my all when I was going to school, because I had to sit back and remember who I was. I was literally doing all that I could to impress everybody. I would not sit on my phone. I turned off my phone every single day I went into class. I sat in the front row like this. I'm like, just sitting right next to the teacher. She saw me every day. I was just right there, just like that. I looked nice every day. I did everything I could, and I came up with something like that. I mean, that's pretty good for a 17, 18-year-old at the time. Speaking of cell phones. And I got one last quote for you guys here. It's part of my conclusion. I've gone over always doing your best and cell phone use. And this was by Brad Paisley. I don't know if you know him, but he's pretty famous. And it's, tomorrow is the first blank page of a 365-page book, so write a good one. Thank you.